Information fueled.
Opinion driven.
This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
We talk news.
6:08 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, so Friday across Middle Tennessee. Appreciate you listening. Joan Jones. So in the previous hour, we were talking about Caroline Leavitt and how it seemed to be particularly combative yesterday, the White House press briefing. I mean, it usually is combative, but yesterday it seemed to be particularly bad. And we were talking about a question from an esteemed member of the media that was asking about the airplane gift. Trump announced that he was going to accept the airplane from Qatar, and that, of course, led to people losing their minds.
Right. So it turns out it was Mary Bruce from ABC that asked the question, and she was actually asking it about the dinner last night. Do you know what dinner he had last night?
Yeah, it was what was the dinner?
I wish I knew.
Oh, got it. Okay. The dinner was about, he is selling some sort of, this is the
Bitcoin.
The Bitcoin, yeah. He's selling.
It's not Bitcoin. It's another kind of coin.
Yeah.
So this is, and so she was asking about that, and this is the question. You ready for it?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Following up on the dinner tonight, you mentioned this is not a White House dinner, but the president is always the president, and the Trump family is making money off of this. So can you just explain, how is this not the president using the office to enrich himself?
All of the president's assets are in a blind...
Did you get that? How is this not the office of the president using this to enrich himself?
Using the office to enrich himself.
All of the president's assets are in a blind trust, which is managed by his children. And I would argue one of the many reasons that the American people reelected this president back to this office is because he was a very successful businessman before giving it up to publicly serve our country. Reagan.
There you go.
So apparently what this was, and there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
I guess he hosted a dinner last night with the top investors in his meme coin.
Meme coin, yeah.
What is that? Like, I don't even know what a meme coin is. Do you? I probably should know, and I bet you the younger kids know, but I don't know what a meme coin is. But it was a private dinner, and of course, the Democrats are accusing Donald Trump of corruption, which, okay, well, it must be another day in America.
Right. Yeah, and, they're saying that the Trump family is going to benefit from...
Oh, really? Would they like to talk about Hunter Biden and his stupid paintings?
Yeah, I mean, if you can blow through a straw and make a painting and call that a $12 million purchase, give me a break.
Yeah, I'm not...
And nobody said one word to Biden about that.
Right.
Because you couldn't disparage his beloved son.
Well, we could, but no, you're absolutely right. So, and I don't know, the meme coin, the airplane, I mean, all that stuff. I've just sort of with all the shootings and the bad guys that Trump is trying to deport to, I guess it's Somalia. There's just a lot of other things that are going on too that I think I just lost track of some of those stories. There is, by the way, talking about. I need some audio, if I could, Louis. So you want to hear something funny, just real quick, because it is the Friday before my vacation. Yesterday, I tried to have some fun with Louis. His name is Louis, but I'm calling him Louis. Then I tried to call him Louis squared, and I got like frowned upon. And then I went home, and Amy was like, "Why did you do that?" I said, I thought it was funny. Louis
She's the voice
squared.
of reason.
Louis squared.
Should listen to her more often.
She said, stop while you're kind of sort of ahead with Louis, and let it be that. So Louis he's not.
It sounds like you're calling me a square.
I'm not calling you a square.
The man's 6'3". I would not call him a square if I were you.
Mad love, mad respect. See, now I feel intimidated and awkward. Which
back to the beginning.
Right, exactly. Right back. So I'm very familiar with that feeling. Anyway, the shootings. Let's get serious. The latest on the shooting, these two Israeli folks in Washington, D.C. The fallout does continue. And I don't know if we've heard this audio yet. This is one of the witnesses.
And he shot this young couple.
Okay.
And then he ran inside and yelled something. I couldn't make it out what he said. He just ran up. It was terrible.
I know what he screamed. You know what he screamed, Free Palestine, right? So you have these two Jewish adults. I believe one was actually from Israel. The other was from Kansas. And that's a witness to the murders of Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram. And you heard that witness talk about what the murder was, how it happened, screaming. And again, of course, he was screaming Free Palestine. Part of what's going on now is a lot of these Democrats are refusing to speak about this. I'm going to get into that straight ahead. U.S. Attorney in the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro, of course, you know her from Fox News. She is in charge of this investigation. Yesterday, she spoke of those charges. I'm going to play that audio for you coming up. It is 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather for today, it's going to be a high of 75 and sunny. Saturday, high of 74, scattered showers. Sunday, a high of 74 and some possible thunderstorms as well. 70 degrees now at Super Talk 99.7 WTN, talking about the murder of the two Jewish, they're calling them diplomats, young adults, just, starting their lives together. They were going to be engaged. You heard all of their story yesterday here on Nashville's Morning News and throughout the day. So now they have arrested somebody, as you know, is a Free Palestine screamer. And Jeanine Pirro spoke of the charges.
Murder in the first degree for the murder of 30-year-old Yaron Lashinsky, a foreign official and official guest of the United States. Mr. Lashinsky was here on official business for the state of Israel. The defendant Rodriguez is also charged with 2 counts of murder in the first degree for both Yaron Lashinsky along with 26-year-old Sarah Lynn Milgram of Kansas. In addition, there are several felony firearms charges for discharging a firearm in the middle of a violent crime and for causing the death of an individual through the use of that firearm.
So the pair, as you now know, had been attending that American Jewish Committee event at the Capitol Jewish Museum, described online as a young diplomat's reception. The event was intended to bring together young Jewish professionals between the ages of 22 and 45.
And I am not unaware, based upon my own background, of the repercussions of this kind of case. This is the kind of case that picks at old sores and old scars, because these kinds of cases remind us of what has happened in the past that we can never and must never forget.
Well, part of the problem is that there are factions within the Democrat Party and their culture that provoke this kind of carnage. Now, I don't know if you heard this from yesterday, but this is Ilhan Omar. She was being asked about these murders.
Congresswoman Omar, can I get your reaction to the shooting that happened in D.C. last night?
I'm going to go for now.
I'm going to go for now, is what she said. Now, I don't know if she's had anything to say since then. If she has, I mean, I would love to see it. I have not seen whether or not she's come out with a statement. But to be perfectly honest, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, they could come out with statements and it wouldn't matter to me, because I actually know how they really feel, because they're all about boycott, divest, and sanction Israel. We all know about being pro-Hamas. I could go on, but I did yesterday. But now we're finding out more about the guy who did this. Because yesterday we spoke about, okay, where was he radicalized? Well, he went to the University of Chicago. He was in Washington, D.C., apparently for a conference. And stop me when you've heard this before. His neighbors say that he was the greatest guy, lived with a woman. Nobody saw this coming. He did indeed legally buy that gun. And he did, though, have an association with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. They say that association ended years ago and that it had been brief. They say that he had a hatred for politicians. It looks like he protested outside the home of then Mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel. I guess he was known to be one of these protesters that would take to the streets. And so the local authorities knew who he was. He also protested against the Iraq war many years ago. But this murder, these murders, is what happens when you normalize anti-Semitism. And that is exactly what people like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar do. They normalize anti-Semitism. This is what happens when you allow aggressions, actual physical aggressions against Jewish people. You had the intimidation on college campuses, in some cases, assault. Wouldn't allow them to pass through a quad or a building or a field. Constant protests. And so it only made sense that it would escalate to this. And think about this. In our country, we're talking about the person that was assaulted for wearing a Make America Great Again hat during the news, right? So in America, it seems like, and I talked about the expansion of the assassination culture yesterday. In America, it does seem like it's open season on two different types of people. Donald Trump supporters, expand that out to Elon Musk folks, and Jewish people. Now, what happened yesterday is beyond the pale with, unfortunately, sadly, these two young Jewish Americans. But it's like you've got an entire political party that seems okay with people being harassed, people being spit upon, people being beaten up, and now people being killed. By the way, Qatar is being blamed, by the way, for funding anti-Israel movements on campuses. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem had something to say about that. Part of what's going on is that you are going to have a lot of people trying to blame Qatar because they do give a lot of money to these universities, including, by the way, Harvard. And in the news, you heard Joan talking about what Donald Trump is doing to Harvard. These two stories, I believe, are connected. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. Super text line is open, 615-737-9986. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. Coming up in the news at 6:30, Joan Jones, what you got?
Well, we have breaking news about the Russia-Ukraine war this morning. We'll tell you about that coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.